Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us for today's FSA webinar. We are here with our presenter to share with you the benefits of setting aside funds in your FSA accounts, and we do offer two different kinds. My name is Jessica Shee. I'm the Director of Communications here at SFHSS, and today I'll just be going over a quick overview for how this presentation will work. If you can go to the next slide. Thank you. So everyone is going to be on mute for this entire presentation. If you want to ask us a question, and we really hope you do, please look for your menu bar, which may be either at the top or bottom of your screen, and select the little question mark box. That box will open up a chat box, and you can type us your questions in there. Right after the presentation, we will start a live Q&A session, and our presenter is here with us, happy to answer any of your questions regarding FSA accounts. We are going to answer as many as possible, and if we don't get to your question, which we hope we do, but if we don't, you can always call for more information. You can either call HSS or you can call P&A admin. Thank you. Please start the video now.
Hi, my name is Christy, and I am one of 25 SFHSS benefits analysts who answer your calls when you have a benefits question. We're so glad you've joined us for the Flexible Spending Account webinar today, also known as FSAs. We have two different options available to our City and County of San Francisco employees, Healthcare FSA and Child Care Dependent Care FSA. This is a great benefit that many employees may overlook. It provides pre-tax savings for everyday expenses such as doctor or dentist copays, prescription drugs, glasses, braces, and qualified daycare or elder care expenses. Be sure to pay attention to the differences in the accounts, what items are eligible, when to enroll, and when funds need to be used by. If you have any additional questions after this webinar, feel free to call SFHSS Member Services, and we are always happy to help.
Hi, welcome to the City and County of San Francisco's FSA Open Enrollment for 2022. We're going to spend about 15 minutes reviewing what is a flexible spending account and how does this program benefit you by participating. An FSA, or flexible spending account, is a pre-tax program. It allows you to use pre-tax dollars for eligible expenses. This allows you to save on your federal, state, and FICA taxes when you do enroll. You essentially decrease your taxable income, which essentially increases your take-home pay. We'll go through what some of those eligible expenses are as we dig into the two accounts available. Now, how the program works is you must decide during this open enrollment period how much money you want to set aside into your flexible spending account. You want to use this to estimate your predictable expenses for the upcoming year. We say predictable because there are some rules associated with these accounts that if you aren't able to spend the money by the end of the plan year or calendar year, you do run a risk of forfeiting some of those dollars. So you want to use it for predictable expenses. Again, this is your opportunity to sign up. This is the open enrollment period, which runs October 1st through October 29th. If you don't choose to participate now, chances are you can't enroll in the middle of the year unless you experience a qualifying life event that would then allow you to make an election mid-year. Now, your FSA election will be divided by the number of paychecks you receive in a year and deducted again pre-tax from your paycheck. The P&A group has an online FSA calculator that you can use to help estimate what your savings and deductions would look like, and that's available on our website, which we'll show later. Here's an example of what those deductions would look like for somebody that elected $780 for the year that is paid bi-weekly. $30 every pay period would come out of your paycheck to go into your flexible spending account. Because that $30 is deducted pre-tax, your take-home pay is only going to go down roughly $22. Now, there's two different accounts available to you. There's the Health FSA, which covers the cost of medical, dental, and vision expenses for you and your dependents. The dependent care FSA, which is specific to covering amounts you pay for daycare centers, babysitters, after-school programs, day camps, and elder care facilities. So child care, adult care, to allow you to work for the city and county of San Francisco. The health FSA, a couple of nice features with this account. The first is that the full annual election is available to you on the first day of your plan year. That means if you elected $1,000 for the calendar year, you will have $1,000 available to you in your account on January 1st. Okay. As I said earlier, you're only allowed to change your election mid-year if you have a change in status or a qualifying life event. A couple of examples would be marriage or birth of a child. With this account, there is the carry forward provision, which allows you to roll over or carry forward up to $550 of unused expenses into the following plan year. Now, important to note, if you have at least $10 in the account, it will carry over up to $550. Any amounts less than $10 will be forfeited. Your carryover balance can only be accessed for 1 year. Now, some sample lists of some sample expenses available for reimbursement underneath the health FSA: copays, deductibles, dental work, eyeglasses, including prescription sunglasses, over-the-counter medications, now not require a letter of medical necessity or a prescription. Right, so very convenient that you can now buy over-the-counter medications like Advil and Band-Aids and Robitussin and cough drops. All of those different things are now eligible to be reimbursed from your FSA, and obviously prescriptions as well. The P&A group has a more extensive list of eligible expenses available on our website as well. To make it easy for you to spend your FSA dollars, your health FSA dollars, you can shop through our partner, the FSA store, and you can purchase those over-the-counter items. It's a great resource because it gives you some examples or shows you products that are available, eligible for reimbursement. And when you use your P&A FSA debit card, you don't need to submit any documentation. We know what you're purchasing through this website is eligible for reimbursement. You'll see that we have free shipping on orders over $50, and everything available on this site is guaranteed to be eligible. The dependent care FSA, again, used for daycare expenses to allow you to work, but this is a pay-as-you-go account. So unlike the health FSA, which we just talked about, your annual election is not available to you on the first day of the plan year. Your account is going to be credited as the city and county takes payroll deductions. They will go into your dependent care account. They then become eligible for reimbursement. Okay. Just like the FSA, the health FSA, this is a once-a-year election, so this is your opportunity to sign up. You can't change your election unless you have one of those qualifying events we discussed earlier. And this one has a use it or lose it rule, meaning that if you put money into the account and you're not able to spend it by the end of the calendar year, you would forfeit anything remaining in the account. You'll see that there's a $250 minimum contribution amount and a $5,000 annual maximum. Right? If you're married and filing separate returns, please note that that limit is $2,500. Here are some examples of eligible dependent care expenses: after-school programs, caregivers for a disabled spouse or elderly dependent. So if you have an elderly parent that's living with you and you claim them as a dependent on your tax return, you could use this program for their care as well. Daycare centers, day camps. Important to note that overnight camps are not an eligible expense. Elder care and nursery school programs. Tuition is not an eligible expense. So if you have children enrolled in kindergarten, primary care, that is considered education expenses and not considered daycare or dependent care expenses. Now, there were some temporary provisions that the Consolidated Appropriations Act provided. This was in response to COVID, and the government wanted to provide some relief to people that utilize flexible spending account programs, but maybe weren't able to spend all of those dollars as a result of COVID and some of the restrictions and lockdowns. Right? Here are some of those temporary provisions. The carry forward provision for the dependent care FSA. I mentioned earlier that the dependent care account has a use it or lose it rule, but the government allowed for a temporary relief, allowing for carry forward of unused dependent care dollars from 2020 into the 2021 plan year. It also increased the dependent care FSA eligibility up to age 14. Previously, the age was 13, in which your children were no longer eligible to use the dependent care account. And then they also allowed you to make changes to your dependent care election during 2021 for any reason. You didn't need to have one of those qualifying life events or changes to change your dependent care election. You could do that for any reason. The benefits card is a very convenient way for you to access your flexible spending accounts. Here is what the card looks like. Everyone that enrolls in the FSA program will receive a debit card sent to their home. That card is going to be issued in the employee's name. You then have the ability to order additional debit cards for your dependents, your spouse, children over the age of 18, and those are going to be issued in the dependent's name. There are no fees for the debit card, so if you want to get additional cards for your family members, you can do so at no charge. If you lose your debit card throughout the year and need to order a new one, you can do that as well at no cost. The card is automatically going to be activated upon first use. The cards are good for 3 years, so you're going to see an expiration date printed on that card. For those of you that currently participate in the FSA program, take a look at your debit card. If it's set to expire, we will automatically issue you a new replacement debit card. But it's also important to note that hold on to your cards because they are good for 3 years. Even if you spend all of your money in the beginning of the plan year and you've got a zero balance left for the remainder of the year, don't throw away your debit card, because if you decide you want to enroll again the following year, we'll load your new election onto that existing card. And it's also good, please save your receipts. Whenever you use your FSA card, try and save that receipt somewhere in case P&A ever reaches out and asks for documentation. There are going to be occasions we randomly spot check, and there are other reasons where we may reach out and ask you to verify that what you purchased was eligible. All right, so it's good practice to save those receipts or those statements. You don't always have to use your debit card. You may have instances where your card doesn't work or you don't have it with you, so you decide you're going to pay out of pocket. You have the option to submit those claims to P&A, and we will reimburse you with either a check or direct deposit into your bank account. There's a variety of ways to get us those claims. We have a mobile app available through the App Store and Google Play. This allows you to log into your account through the app and use the camera on your phone or mobile device to take a picture and upload that image from your photo library for reimbursement. So that's a great way to get us copies of receipts. You can use your computer. So if you have access to a scanner, you can scan in those receipts, or you can mail and fax those claims to us as well. We do send out reminders. We do remind you that you have money left towards the end of the plan year. We call it our wake-up letter. It's going to let you know that you've got money remaining in your account. You need to make sure you go out and spend it. It is our goal and the county, city and county's goal to make sure that all employees that participate are able to spend all of their dollars. Nobody wants to see any funds forfeited in the account. Claims are due by March 31st following the plan year. And all that means is that for 2022, which is the next calendar year that we're enrolling for, you have until March 31st following the plan year end to turn in any receipts that you may have for reimbursement from the prior year's balance. And any amounts left over in your health FSA between $10 and $550 will be carried forward into the next plan year. You've got 1 year to spend that. Any amounts remaining above $550 will be forfeited. So it's very important you spend your account balance down to at least $550 so you're not forfeiting anything. As I mentioned, if you submit a manual claim to P&A, we will reimburse you with either a check or direct deposit into your bank account. If you are requesting a check reimbursement, please note that there is a $25 minimum reimbursement for checks. So if you turn in a claim for $5 for over-the-counter medication, we're not going to reimburse it by check. We will hold that until you've accumulated $25. Or if you only have $5 remaining in your account, we will reimburse you to clean out your account and zero it. The mobile app, which I talked about, it's a very convenient way for you to register for account alerts. You can submit claims. You can check your account balance. You can upload documentation if we ever send you one of those requests when you use your debit card. If we need to see a receipt, it's an easy way to get us a copy of that receipt. We also have an easy scan feature. which allows you to, if you're at a merchant or retailer and you're not sure if an item is FSA eligible, you can use the Easy Scan feature to take a picture of that barcode, and the app will tell you if it's eligible or not. Okay, so it takes the guesswork out of it. With the app, you can also turn on notifications. So we'll send you reminders, we'll send you updates, we'll let you know if you ever submit a claim that we received it, we'll let you know when claims have been reimbursed. We'll also notify you anytime your debit card is used and what your remaining balance is, so you always have a way to track what your account balance is. Our customer service, we are located in Buffalo, New York, which is where we're headquartered. Our call center is open Monday through Friday, 5:30 a.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. During those same hours, we also have live chat available for you. So if you prefer to instant message with customer service, you can do that through the P&A website here at padmin.com. And our toll-free and local numbers, 1-800-688-2611, to speak with customer service representatives. P&A also has online some great educational videos to learn about how to access your account, how to submit a claim, how to navigate the mobile app. Those can be found on the P&A website and also on YouTube.
Great, thank you so much, Rick. And I'm excited to see we've got a lot of great questions in our chat already. So to kick it off, I'm a new employee. Congratulations and welcome. And just enrolled in an FSA for healthcare for the rest of 2021. Is this the time to complete enrollment for 2022? And Rick, I know you already answered the question. Can you read it out loud for all of our members?
Yes, this is open enrollment for 2022, and this is your opportunity to sign up for the new plan year.
Great, thank you so much. And you do have to enroll in FSAs every single year. The second question is, what is the income cap for the raise on the dependent care FSA to $10,000?
Yeah, so employees earning over $130,000 a year can only elect up to $5,000. So any employees earning less than $130,000 a year can increase and elect up to $10,000 for 2021.
Right, thank you so much. And is it $130,000 for an individual, or is it combined if you are married filing jointly?
Yeah, and that limit was imposed by the city and county, so it's going to be for the employee at City and County of San Francisco. It's not a combined income limit, and just so everyone's clear, the reason for that cap is to prevent non-discrimination issues. There's a series of tests that we need to perform on the plan every year, and it can be adversely affected if high-income people are electing too much in dependent care. So we came up with that number with the city and county to make sure that we didn't have that issue.
Thank you so much for that clarification. And would the flexible spending account be applicable to retirees?
No, retirees are not eligible to participate in the flexible spending account.
Thank you. And the next question is, they're trying to determine if they can make an extra contribution to their dependent care FSA, which is only $5,000 right now. And
yes, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I saw that Sonali already answered the member's question, but if you earn less than $130,000 a year, you can go up to $10,000 if you'd like. But if you earn more than $130,000 a year, then you are already at your max. And the next question is, also, I pay a relative to care for my children 1 day a week. What kind of documentation do I need to get that cost reimbursed? It's a great question.
So the first part of that is it can't be an immediate family member. So if it's a child, for example, you couldn't pay one of your children to watch your other children. But assuming that it's not an immediate family member, they can be paid and you can submit for reimbursement. What you would need to obtain from them would be a handwritten receipt that included the dates of service, the dollar amount that was charged, and also their tax ID, or more commonly their social security number if they're an individual. The reason for that is they need to declare it as income on their tax return. So it's important that they're aware of that requirement. If you're going to pay them cash and you're going to be reimbursed from your dependent care account, the IRS wants to make sure that they're declaring that as income on their personal tax return at the end of the year.
Thank you for that. And the next question is, can I use FSA card at general stores like Target or CVS to buy over-the-counter products? And do I need to upload any documentation?
Yeah, so the debit card is going to work at those locations for eligible products, including over-the-counter medications. In most cases, you will not be asked for documentation, but it's always a good practice to hold on to receipts in case you do get questioned, because there is some random audit activity in the plan where we may send you a request for that documentation. But the cards will recognize eligible versus ineligible expenses at those locations. So if you're at Target and you're buying a magazine and a box of Band-Aids, the debit card will approve the box of Band-Aids. It'll decline the magazine.
Thank you for that clarification. And the next question is regarding the healthcare, regarding the healthcare FSA. My wife's employer is also offering healthcare FSA. Can my wife and I both contribute to the healthcare FSA account? And if so, can we each contribute the maximum amount? And what is the maximum amount for 2022? I know that was a lot of questions.
Yeah, so the healthcare FSA, the limit is on the employee. So you and your spouse that both work for employers that offer a flexible spending account can both enroll, and you can both enroll for up to the annual maximum. Currently, that's $2,750. The IRS has not released the new numbers for 2022. So for purposes of open enrollment, we're sticking with what we know now, and we're using $2,750 as the maximum. And again, you and your spouse can both make that election underneath your employer's plans.
Thank you. And are mental health appointment copays eligible for regular FSA account? Example.
Yes, mental health is an eligible expense as any other medical service. So copays, deductibles, anything you pay for that care is an eligible expense.
Great, thank you. And can you provide a list of approved services, example, massage therapy, chiropractic, or acupuncture services that are eligible for FSAs?
Yes, I believe we have a link in I'm not sure if it's in the presentation, but I can respond to that comment with a link to our partner, the FSA store. They have a comprehensive list of products and services that are eligible, and also a search function so that you can put in your particular service or item, and it'll display whether or not it's eligible.
Great. And do the COVID provisions carry forward to 2022?
No, those provisions were temporary for the 2020 and 2021 plan years, so they will not carry forward to 2022.
Okay, and the next question is, what happens if I join the flexible spending account starting next calendar year and then decide to retire in June?
Yes, you want to, if you have that event that you're planning for, you want to plan accordingly, because if you make an election for the Health FSA, as I said in my presentation, you have access to the full annual amount at the beginning of the year. You want to make sure that you spend down to what you've contributed before you retire, so you're not leaving anything in the account. Retirement is a qualifying event, meaning that if you have money left in your Health FSA, you will be offered COBRA on that account. But it's a lot cleaner and easier for you to plan ahead and spend down to what you've contributed to the account before you retire.
Thank you for that. And are reimbursements only for when you forget to use your debit card?
You can submit for a manual reimbursement at any time. If you can't use your debit card and you forget to use it, we have others that prefer to actually get a check or reimbursement issued to them by direct deposit. So just save your receipts, your documentation. You can submit those to P&A as we outlined in the presentation. There's a variety of ways to get us that information, and then we'll reimburse you with either a check or direct deposit. So it's really up to you whether or not you want to use the card.
Thank you. And is that 130K salary cap adjusted gross income?
That's going to be your W-2 wages. So I believe the city and county is the one that's going to monitor that. So if you are salaried and scheduled to earn more than 130K, you will be limited to the $5,000 dependent care election. So it's not going to be your adjusted gross income that's reported on your tax return. It's going to be your earnings through the city and county of San Francisco.
Thank you. And where do we find the calculator and how do we sign up?
I will respond right now with a link to our website where you can find the FSA calculator. As far as how you sign up, Jessica, I'll let you cover that one.
Oh yes, you can sign up through Ebenefits. through the San Francisco Employee Portal. Once you go into your open enrollment, which is considered a special event, or you can find it under My Links, look for Ebenefits and look for the open enrollment link. Right now, everyone has the access to Ebenefits. It is open for open enrollment, and you can go in, see what your benefits are this year, and make your elections for next year. And the next question is, you mentioned if I want to put $1,000, can I use it on 1/1/21? I'm thinking they mean 22 because 1/1/21 has already passed. How much can I spend?
Yeah, so with the healthcare FSA, you have access to your annual election on January 1st, 2022. So if you elected $1,000, even though you haven't contributed anything to the account at that point, you have $1,000 available in your account on your debit card available to spend. The dependent care account is different. That's a pay-as-you-go account. So your account will be credited with your contributions every pay period. So in that case, for dependent care, you're only going to have access to what you put in. So if you elect $5,000, you're not going to have $5,000 available on January 1. You'll have money deposited every pay period as it's taken from your paycheck.
Thank you. And this is a two-part question. One, do I need a letter of medical necessity to use FSA for psychotherapy and massages? And the second part is, does FSAs work for public transportation?
Yeah, so the first part, yes, you do need a letter of medical necessity for those because not all times is that being used to treat a medical condition. And that's really the overarching requirement for eligibility is it used to treat a medical condition? For example, massage therapy, if you had an accident and you were receiving massage therapy, well, to treat that, whatever physical issue you had, then it would be a qualified expense. If you're like me, though, and just likes to get the occasional massage, that's not medically necessary, in which case it would not be eligible for reimbursement. And the same thing for psychotherapy. We do need something from a medical professional that diagnoses a medical condition or advises that as a course of treatment. Okay. The second part, does FSA work for public transportation? There is a separate program, the commuter program, not administered by us, but available through the city and county, I believe, that is available for transportation expenses.
Thank you, and thank you for remembering that. I believe it's offered through our Department of Environment. Sonali or Olga, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that it's a completely separate benefit. And the next question is, the funds will not be available until January 1st if I signed up during open enrollment this month. That's correct. And the money won't be taken out of your paycheck until your paycheck starting next year. And what is the max contribution for the health flexible spending account?
So currently that's $2,750. Again, the IRS has not released the 2022 figures, so we're going to use $2,750 because that's the number we have today.
Great. And the next question is about, how about purchases on Amazon? Are receipts needed?
Yeah, so last year Amazon decided to kind of get into the healthcare business, and now if you shop on Amazon for eligible medical, dental, and vision products, you will see through certain third-party retailers FSA or HSA eligible when you're on those items. So if you want to shop on Amazon to buy over-the-counter items, most of the time you're going to be able to use the P&A issued debit card. But if that vendor, that third-party merchant, has not been set up for FSA, HSA eligibility, you'd have to pay for that with another credit card, and then you can submit a receipt to P&A for reimbursement. So you can download the receipt directly from Amazon and upload that to P&A, and we'll reimburse you for it if you pay it out of pocket.
Great, thank you. And the next question, how do we sign up? And I see that Sonali provided our open enrollment website. You can also go straight into the employee portal. That's where you would put in your time and other things with the city, and you can also sign up directly in the SF employee portal, or you can find the Ebenefits link at our open enrollment webpage. And the next question, so I am a new employee, congratulations again. So this question is related to 2021, got it. Okay, can I put the maximum amount for this year, $10,000, since I will be earning less than $130 $10,000 for this calendar year? Oh. Rick, do you know that answer?
Yeah, I believe the answer is going to be yes, unless the city and county has another policy in place. But yes, you're going to have obviously pretty significant payroll deductions through now through the end of the plan year, because whatever you elect is going to have to be payroll deducted over the next roughly 2.5 months. So if you're not going to have $10,000 in earnings in that time period, you wouldn't be able to do it. So you need to take a look at the math to make sure that you're actually going to earn enough between now and the end of the plan year to have that amount deducted from your paycheck. But yes, you can elect up to the $10,000 maximum.
Thank you. And Rick, just for clarification, if somebody starts, let's say they started in October, they're a new employee with us, but this whole year, is it possible for them, if they do get the max, if they've already paid for childcare services, let's say in June before they started, can they still deduct that?
So yeah, the only services that are going to be eligible to be reimbursed from that $10,000 election are going to be services incurred after you become eligible underneath the city and county's plan. So any expenses you incur prior to working for the city and county, you wouldn't be able to submit for reimbursement. But let's say you made an election for November 1st of this year, any expenses incurred from November 1st through the end of the year would be eligible. That's a great question, Jessica. So for that individual that's looking to spend $10,000 between now and the end of the year, it would only be for expenses incurred after you make your election, nothing prior.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, because we don't want you to lose any money. So make sure you are very clear about the terms and the rules. But thank you, it was a great question. And the next question is, can I use FSA to pay for alternative therapies like acupuncture or chiropractic appointments?
Yeah, and this is going to be similar to that question on massage therapy, because we would need a letter of medical necessity. We need to verify what medical condition is being treated with those alternative therapies in order to make them eligible. Again, they need to be medically necessary. So we would need a note from a provider that identified a medical condition being treated by that alternative therapy.
Great. And the next question is regarding the healthcare FSA max. Is the $2,750 max for an individual or a family?
The $2,750 max is per employee. So regardless of your family status, whether you're a single individual or you have family, $2,750 is the maximum for every employee.
Thank you. And is the $130,000 income limit of $5,000, is that gross or net? And actually it's a $10,000. If you make under $130,000 for this year, you can have up to $10,000. But for next year, it goes back to $5,000. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. And the answer to that question is, I believe it's going to be gross. Again, this is the city and county is going to look at if you're one of those individuals looking to increase your election to above $5,000, they're going to look at your earnings through the city and county of San Francisco. So that's going to be a gross number.
Great. And the presenter just said, my husband and I can both have one and max it out. Is that correct?
Yes, you can both make an election for the healthcare FSA and elect up to the $2,750 maximum, meaning that you as a family would have access to $5,500 between the two plans.
And are vitamins eligible under the FSA?
Vitamins are only eligible if they're medically necessary. So again, a letter of medical necessity would be required to purchase vitamins. Your P&A issued debit card is never going to work for vitamins because those in the IRS's view are for general well-being and not to treat a medical condition in most cases.
And for SFA eligible items, do they differ every year or generally stay the same?
They generally stay the same. Last year, the big significant change was allowing over-the-counter medications again to be eligible without a letter of medical necessity. But for the most part, the IRS list doesn't change from year to year.
And how long would we need to save the receipts?
Yeah, P&A will always ask for a receipt if we need one. Within 2 weeks of the transaction. So if you swipe your debit card and you don't get a request from P&A within 2 weeks, you know that you're not going to be requested later.
Great. And regarding the $130,000 cap, is that based on W-2 earnings for 2020 then?
Again, this is really a city and county question. I'm not sure how you're measuring that earnings cap to allow or not allow somebody to make the election, but my belief is it's probably going to be look at your gross earnings for 2021 or your anticipated earnings based on salary.
Thank you. And Sonali, actually, if you know that answer, please let us know. But I'm going to move on to the next question. Is the FSA account only reimbursable for expenses related to the elected employee, or can I use FSA funds for dependents under my insurance as well?
Yeah, you can use the account for expenses for dependents as well. So it's not just for you. And even if you have only single coverage through the city and county of San Francisco, but you have dependents, you have a spouse, you have children which you claim as dependents, you can still use the FSA for their expenses and be reimbursed or use their debit card for them. So it's for you and your entire family.
Great. And when do deductions begin for 2022? And is my adult dependent 18 eligible to include her medical cost?
Yeah, the first deduction in 2022 is going to be your first paycheck in January of 2022. I don't know that exact pay date, but I'm sure the city and county can get that for you. And yes, your adult dependents, 18 up to the age of 26, their expenses are also eligible for reimbursement through the FSA.
Great, thank you. And I can earn over 130,000, but did not in 2020 because I worked less to care for my children during the pandemic. Yeah, I'm. Did you want to? I'm not sure what the question was. Is there? Sorry, I'm looking at the next. Thinking of having a spinal. Okay, no, those are two different questions. So for dependent care. I believe that's for this calendar year's 2021 earning. And okay, so the member worked less to care for children during the pandemic. So if you earned less than 130,000 this year in 2021, you can elect up to 10K for dependent care, but isn't there a working, what is that rule? Like,
yeah, so if you're, you need to earn at least the amount that you're electing for. So for example, if your spouse doesn't work, I mean, this is the employee, so obviously they are working through the city and county, so they would be eligible. Your spouse also needs to be working. If your spouse is at home, and then you would not be eligible to participate in the dependent care account. So just keep that in mind. And obviously you need to earn enough at work to cover the amount of your dependent care election as well, so it can be payroll deducted pre-tax.
Thank you. And if, let's say if we have an employee, and I'm sure this is happening for many of our members, but let's say an employee isn't working 100% of the time like they normally do, but let's say they're working 75% of the time, can they still elect that maximum?
Yes, they can. Yeah, now it's only to be used for care while you are working. So just keep that in mind. Obviously on the days that you're off, if you're still sending the children away to care, you wouldn't be eligible. Those expenses wouldn't be eligible for reimbursement, but as long as you're working and someone's providing care that you're paying for, then it's eligible, yes.
Thank you for making that clarification. Now, the next member's question is thinking of having a spinal decompression procedure from a chiro. Is this eligible for FSA cost? If
yes,
the procedure is $5,000.
Yes, we obviously the $5,000 wouldn't be reimbursed because the limit is $2,750 for the year, but you could use the accounts to pay for that procedure. Yes.
Great. And the next question is from Rachel. I recently started an unpaid maternity leave and will not be getting any more paychecks this year after today. I understand I will need to arrange with SFHSS directly to pay my FSA contributions while on unpaid leave. Is that correct? And will I need to pay these using my out-of-pocket post-tax money? Rick, I'm not sure if you're able to answer that or if Sonali knows the answer.
It's probably a question for the city and county. If you've made an arrangement with an employee that's going out on an unpaid leave, they can continue to contribute to the account with post-tax dollars. You are correct, but that would allow you then to continue having access to your FSA while you're on that unpaid leave.
Thank you. And and thank you. I see that Olga put in the chat the sfenvironment.org's commuter benefits program. So the link is in the Q&A chat for the person who is interested in that benefit. The next question is, do I need a letter of medical necessity to use FSA for chiropractic care? I believe we answered that earlier.
Chiropractic care does not require a letter of medical necessity. They are licensed medical professionals, so they're okay. You do not need one for chiropractic.
Okay, sorry. I think the
just massage therapy was the one in question. Yes.
Okay. What about acupuncture?
Acupuncture as well. If you're going to a chiropractor, you wouldn't be questioned for that transaction. But if you're going somewhere that just does acupuncture, they're not licensed medical professionals. So you do need a letter of medical necessity if you're getting care from somebody other than a chiropractor or medical doctor.
Thank you. And can I use FSAs to pay for mental health therapy sessions? How would I prove that it is a medical necessity?
Yeah, as long as you're going to a licensed therapist, they're able to give you an itemized or statement that shows the treatment being provided. You don't need a letter of medical necessity in that case. It would only be if you were going to somebody that was not a licensed therapist that you would need something from a medical professional that recommended that course of treatment.
Thank you. And the next question, I currently have healthcare FSA for 2021. What is the rollover cap amount if I don't spend all of my money this year?
Yeah, the maximum is $550. So any amount remaining above $550 would be forfeited. And you need to have a minimum balance of at least $10. So anything less than $10 would also be forfeited.
Okay, thank you for that. So that means between now and December, make sure your amount is under $550 if you want to have rollover. Next question is, I've signed up for FSA. Will I be prompted to create an account with PNA via email, or do I need to create an account on my own by going to the PNA website?
Yeah, so once PNA receives the open enrollment file from the City and County of San Francisco, which would be towards the end of November, new accounts or all participants will receive a welcome email from PNA, and it will have a link to our website and instructions on how to create your accounts in our portal.
Great. And the next question is, does the letter of medical necessity have to be issued annually, or can you submit one and have it on file?
Yeah, the IRS only allows a letter of medical necessity to be valid for a 12-month period. So every year you would need to obtain a new one from your doctor and to keep that on file with us. Great,
thank you. And then a single family income, is there any talk of the $2,750 going up for families in the future?
Yeah, there's always talk about it, whether or not it happens. And just, remember, the larger the amount that the government or IRS allows you to put into the account, the lower your tax bill is going to be. And that's the benefit to participating in the plan. But that's also factored in when legislators are making these decisions to limit the amount you can contribute, because it's going to impact the tax revenue that's generated. So we actually saw something earlier this year that they were proposing increasing it by almost $2,000, and it looks like that has been squashed, and it's going to be now probably closer to $2,800. So I wouldn't expect any large increases, but there's always talk of it. Great,
thank you. And the next question, so does it work for transit and parking for commute to work? That's actually a completely different benefit that's offered by a different department, SF Environment, and Leticia provided the link in the chat. Next question is about feminine hygiene products qualify for Health FSA like they did last year.
Yeah, so feminine care products, feminine hygiene products, those were all introduced spring of last year and part of the over-the-counter ruling. So those are eligible. They do not need a letter of medical necessity. You can purchase them with the PNA issued debit card at most general merchants.
Great, thank you. And is anything bought at, for example, the Kaiser Pharmacy automatically eligible?
It's going to go through on your PNA issued debit card because it's showing up as a pharmacy transaction. We are going to approve it if you have the money available to you in your account. But I would caution you, I know that you can buy, for example, certain vitamins at the Kaiser Pharmacy. And if you ever got that request from PNA for documentation, we're going to get an itemized statement that shows exactly what you purchased. When we see vitamins or some other ineligible product, you would have to reimburse the plan for that expense. So just be careful and make sure that if you're shopping at the Kaiser Pharmacy, if you know it's not something that's normally eligible, like vitamins, have that separated and pay for another with your own personal credit card.
Thank you. And we have another question about rollover limits. What is the cap on the rollover? So you have to have a minimum of $10 and a maximum of $550. Anything under 10 or over $550, you will forfeit. Next question is for reimbursements that are submitted until March 15, 2022. Do the services have to be rendered in 2021, or can services take place from 1/1/2022 to March 15, 2022?
So in order for them to be eligible to be reimbursed from your 2021 balance, the service needs to be provided in 2021. So expenses incurred January 1st of 2022 and later would be eligible for reimbursement from your new plan year election or your carryover balance if you have carryover funds. All right, but the dates of service need to be incurred during the plan year.
Thank you. And I'm just going to take a very, very short break to provide everyone the link. I want to thank everyone for attending. We're still going to answer questions, but for anyone else who's interested in participating in our raffle drawing, if our Q&A moderators can please put that link into the chat, that would be great, because we definitely do want you to enter our raffle drawing. We're really excited to give those away come November. So, and I'm going to continue reading the questions right now. So my husband and I are working for the City and County of San Francisco. Does each of us get to elect the maximum amount of $2,750 health flexible spending amount? And does my husband's expenses, can they be paid through my plan, or has to be paid through his own plan?
Yeah, so you can each elect $2,750 as employees of the City and County of San Francisco. And you do not need to run your expenses through your account. You can share. All right, so you're both going to have a combined $5,500 in that example, and you can use the accounts to pay for both expenses.
Thank you. Then that was a great question. And can FSA money be used for IVF procedures and related medication?
Yes, that is an eligible expense, and medications, anything to support that procedure, are all eligible for reimbursement.
Thank you. And the next question, I plan on enrolling for FSA for the first time this year. I would like to purchase prescription sunglasses this month. Would I be able to use my FSA dollars on that expense, or would I need to wait till January 1st, 2022?
Yeah, since this is open enrollment, we're making our elections for 2022. You would need to wait until January 1 or later to incur that expense in order for it to be eligible. So my suggestion would be to wait to buy those prescription sunglasses until the new year.
Great. And is cosmetic surgery eligible?
No, cosmetic procedures or surgery is not an eligible expense. It needs to be medically necessary. So nothing cosmetic, including, just so everyone's aware, teeth whitening. That's a very common one that we get questioned on. That's also considered cosmetic, not medically necessary. So it's not an eligible expense.
Thank you. And just for additional clarification, we've got another member that just wants to ask one more time. So if the chiropractor or therapist is licensed, and I assume you mean mental health therapist, not massage therapist, there is no need for a letter. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, the chiropractic care, you're right, or therapist is licensed, then no letter is needed. That is correct.
And thank you, Sonali, for entering that raffle link. Oh my gosh, I think we're at the last question. Why is the healthcare money available up front, but the dependent care is not?
Not to get too complicated, but the IRS views the healthcare FSA as a health insurance plan. And for that reason, just like with your health insurance plan, the insurance carrier can't look and see how much money you paid in premium and then determine whether or not you get access to care. So it's called the Uniform Coverage Rule. And it just means that in order to, if an employer is going to offer this account, they need to treat it as health insurance, meaning you can access your full annual benefit in the beginning of the year. It can't be limited based on what you've paid into the plan. Dependent care is a completely different account in the IRS, and that one is not a healthcare account, and that's why they treat them separately.
Great. And okay, I do see another new question just popped in. If you travel for medical care that is medically necessary, can you submit the cost of the hotel?
No. So travel expenses are eligible in certain cases, but it's very extreme. You need to prove that the care is not, you can't get the care where you live or somewhere close by. So it gets kind of complicated. You need to get a medical professional to say that you need to go to this particular location in order to access that care. And in which case, then it could be eligible. If you have that situation, I'd encourage you, please talk to P&A first, because that's something that we would need to work out with you for documentation. Obviously, your debit card's not going to work to pay for a hotel, but you can get, if you get the correct documentation, then yes, it could be eligible. But again, it's very difficult to prove. You need to show that you're not able to get that care where you live.
Thank you. We've got two more questions that just came in. Can dependents use your P&A debit card, or must they be issued their own card?
Yeah, I mean, they can get an additional card. You can request additional cards for your spouse and dependents. Those cards are issued in the dependent's name, so it makes it a little bit easier if you have concerns about them carrying your card around and maybe the merchant denying them because they don't have the same name as you. But we don't care who's using your card as long as they're an eligible dependent. But the easiest thing would be for you to order a new card.
Okay, and I thought there was one more question after, but then it just disappeared all of a sudden.
Jessica, it was the same question. I had to delete that. So it was the same.
Oh, okay, great. And I also did see some other questions that popped up regarding the slides, and we can actually, Rick, you can send me your PowerPoint and we can actually upload that with the videos, which we'll try to do either later this evening or definitely by tomorrow morning. So we will have this video and the slides available for you to view. Oh, I see more questions coming in. Oh, are FSAs eligible for sleep disorder?
Yes, I guess I'd be curious, what's the treatment? So I can't give you a general answer on a blanket answer that says, yes, all sleep disorder treatments are eligible. But again, if you're under the care of a medical professional, the easiest thing would be to get that letter of medical necessity, and it would make any form of treatment eligible underneath the plan.
Great, and thank you for that clarification too. And I'm sorry, I skipped one earlier. If I have carryover FSA into 2022 and I elect to have a 2022 FSA, which pool of funds would be used first?
We're going to spend your carryover dollars first. Because you have only 1 year to spend the carryover balances, we're going to exhaust those first. Then we'll look at your new plan year election and start to spend that money.
Great. Okay, well, if you have any more questions, feel free to put it in the chat right now. Also, I want to remind everyone to please enter the raffle drawing. We'll submit the link again. And if you have more questions or you're interested in more information, you can either call SFHSS or P&A admin. I believe the phone number is on. It's probably on our website too, and your microsite. Do you want to provide the phone number now?
Yes, it's 1-800-688-2611. And we have customer service reps available Monday through Friday, 5:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time.
Okay, and I'm putting that into the chat as we speak. And great, oh, I do see one more question came in. Does the carryover automatically roll over into next year?
Yes, there's nothing you need to do. Yes, the carryover balances will automatically roll over.
Great, we'll give it one more minute. We really want to thank everyone for attending today. Please enter the raffle drawing so that we can give away all of the wonderful giveaways that our vendors have provided for us to share. And if you have any questions, we will stay on for another minute or so before we close this out. Thank you again for attending and asking the wonderful questions. I see 66 questions were published. And Rick, you just like powered through them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, if there aren't any more questions, I just want to thank everyone for attending. And we wish you a wonderful Tuesday back from our holiday weekend for those of you who had Indigenous People Day off yesterday. So thank you everyone for attending, and thank you for the wonderful questions, and thank you, Rick, for presenting.
Thank you all.
Oh, Charmin.